Listen, there's nothing wrong with this or this. They are both great writing instruments, and they are great for journaling as well. But fountain pens can take your journaling to a whole other level. At least it did for me. This is a fountain pen. This is also a fountain pen. This is also a fountain pen. There are many different options for fountain pens. What are fountain pens? Well, they are wonderful, beautiful, amazing writing instruments. In a nutshell, they have these beautiful things called nibs that generally look like they're in this sort of shape, and there are different options for shapes, different options for the nib sizes. They have the ability to carry ink, whether that's in the body or inside a cartridge or a converter. And the beautiful thing about fountain pens is that it provides an amazing tactile writing experience. There is nothing wrong with this or this. They're both wonderful. And as I said, for me, starting to write with fountain pens or writing with fountain pens took my journaling to a whole other level. Now, this might come across a little bit pretentious, suggesting that you need an expensive writing instrument. These are generally more expensive than your average ballpoint pen or gel pen. However, you can get cheap fountain pen options, and in my experience, cheaper fountain pen options beat the mass-produced ballpoint pen options that you can get on the market. It is pretentious to suggest this. It is a stationery channel after all, and I would be remiss if I didn't suggest using something like a fountain pen for journaling. Now, the reason this took my journaling to the next level, what do I mean by the next level? Let's spend a few minutes chatting about that. Journaling is a wonderful act full of intention. It is a process for distilling your thoughts, feelings, emotions down onto paper and allowing you to process those thoughts, feelings, and emotion. But why does a fountain pen make a difference when it comes to journaling? Well, there's a few neat things about fountain pens. As I said, fountain pens are a little bit more expensive than your average writing instrument. And with the intention of journaling, committing a little bit more money in a writing instrument, I find for myself provides that extra incentive into the intention. And by doing so, it also helps me follow through with the act of journaling. The next reason for using a fountain pen in my experience and why I find it so beneficial is the fact that these are traditional, nostalgic instruments in and themselves. However, they are making a tremendous comeback within mainstream. Arguably, fountain pens never actually went away, but I would say there has been a very profound resurgence in the last 20 years, and especially during COVID times and post-COVID, about the use of fountain pens. People are intrigued and people are looking for ways to slow down and invest in analog activities like journaling. Fountain pens are a nice add-on to do that kind of thing. So with the intention or with the added intention of journaling committed to by investing in a beautiful writing instrument, I find that it also inherently ties oneself to a history, a nostalgia, a relationship through time of using something that's a little bit more traditional. It makes it feel very profound from that perspective. And there are a lot of great individuals in history who have used fountain pens, and they must be onto something by the use of these instruments when they have accessibility to other alternatives. Take Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has the ability to run all his computations and equations through computers, supercomputers. He still prefers to use a fountain pen to map out his equations, at least as a start. And what's so great about fountain pens itself? Well, they write effortlessly. You'll have to take my word. If you have never written with a fountain pen, when you try it for the first time, it is actually surprising just how much of a tactile sensation it introduces and how different it is from a traditional or mass-produced ballpoint pen. it glides smooth across the paper. I find this to be the case from cheap fountain pens all the way through to more expensive fountain pens. And when you think about journaling, and there are many different forms of journaling, if you are intending to commit to that very act, having something that feels so natural in one's hand that glides across the paper adds that extra flavor and motivation to come back to it again and again and again. I find that it is actually somewhat addictive, as funny as that is to say, to write with fountain pens. The other thing that fountain pens allow you to do is cut down waste. There are components within the fountain pen that allow you to refill the ink, change out the ink, and play around with different colors within the same fountain pen or same pen instead of chucking it out. Now, there are refill options for ballpoint pens and cheaper pens out there, don't get me wrong. The beautiful thing about fountain pen inks as well is the fact that there are so many different color variations and fountain pen ink characteristics. A blue is not necessarily a blue. You can have different shades of blue, and I, myself, being a big fan of blue fountain pen ink, have got at least a dozen different variations of blue ink available to me at all times. You can also play around with interesting shading or sheeting characteristics within the ink. This all adds extra pizzazz and flavor to your journaling. I like the fact that I can play around with different colors through the use of different fountain pens in a journaling session to enhance ideas, to be somewhat flashy if I need to also make it a bit of a work of art, a compendium for me to return to, and it makes it somewhat joyful to reread my own stuff, especially when it's been displayed through the variety of fountain pen inks. The experience of journaling with fountain pens is something that I can only encourage you to try, but I do highly recommend it. I find that you don't even need to invest very much in your first fountain pen. My first one was a $4 or $5 cheap platinum preppy pen, but I found myself gravitating towards that pen almost 99% more times than the available ballpoint pen that I had in my backpack. And over the years, I have expanded my collection to include more and more expensive fountain pens. These have the added benefit of being either gold nibs or having a little bit more flex within the nib, or just with the higher components and materials having a certain aesthetic beauty to it, as well as providing a more refined writing experience. I like to write, and I do journal quite a bit. And I think it's part and parcel to the fact that I use fountain pens consistently in my journaling experience. Now, why would you not go with a fountain pen? Full disclaimer, using fountain pens is a bit of a black hole. You're going to find yourself investing into fountain pen inks, which aren't actually all that expensive comparatively. However, you'll also want to pair it with really nice fountain pen friendly paper. But if you're the type of person who's journaling on scrap pieces of loose leaf paper, i.e. printer paper or anything like that, fountain pens will not provide a great experience. It's like taking a Lamborghini for a test drive down your block in a residential area. You're not going to get much out of it, and you'll find that the Lamborghini actually performs very poorly in that situation. Fountain pens are like Lamborghinis. They're amazing machines that you want to give the best canvas you can provide for them. Now, doing so, in my experience, pairing a fountain pen with really nice paper in really nice notebooks or notebook covers just adds to the experience as a whole. And as a result, again, with the cultivation of a habit of journaling, I find that it is so incredibly rewarding to pair these nice things together. So tell me, do you journal with fountain pens? What do you like about fountain pens if you use one? Let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, and consider supporting me at Buy Me a Coffee in the description below. Take care, have a wonderful day, and bye for now.